Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, streamline that information overload for you, basically giving you the insight you need. High efficiency learning, that's our game. And today, well, that's exactly what we're focusing on. We're diving into language acquisition. Specifically, the big question, how fast can you really learn? How do you compress that timeline? You're going from zero to actually communicating. So the source material we've got is titled Rapid English Language Acquisition Strategies. And that title, well, it's not subtle, is it? It promises speed. Okay, let's unpack this mission, because the core question you shared, it really sets the stage for everything else.
It absolutely does. And that question is so concise but powerful. How to speak English in short time. That's the whole blueprint right there. It tells us the learner isn't interested in a slow, maybe academic approach. No, they want a toolkit. Something optimized for getting results, practical results, fast. So our mission today isn't really about debating if it's possible. It's about figuring out what methods must be in that toolkit to even have a shot at that kind of speed.
Exactly. And looking at the source title again, you've got rapid right there. And the question hammers on short time.
In language learning, let's be honest, speed usually means making choices, sacrifices almost. Yeah. You're trading maybe completeness for practical utility.
Right.
We're not talking about sounding like a literature professor here.
Right.
We're talking about getting things done, operational fluency. So if you're serious about getting results quickly, say in 3 months, maybe 6 semesters, you just don't have the luxury, do you? You can't spend ages on obscure words or grammar rules nobody uses in daily chat. You need the sweet spot.
And what's fascinating here is that this constraint, the short time idea, it almost forces a strategy on you. It points directly to something like the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, focusing on the vital few, precisely. We know from linguistics that a surprisingly small number of words, maybe the top 1,000 to 3,000, make up the vast majority, like 80% of everyday spoken conversation. So the very first strategy any rapid method has to include is just ruthless focus. Prioritizing those high-frequency words, the method needs to help you filter out the, 40,000 words you won't use next week, and instead zero in on the couple thousand that let you actually function. Order coffee, ask the directions, have a basic chat. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about getting the most functional understanding fast, not about knowing every word in the dictionary.
Okay, that makes sense. Prioritize the common stuff. But isn't there a potential pitfall there? If you focus only on that high frequency core, purely for speed, could you end up with a really fragile kind of English? Like, what happens when you step outside that 80%? Does everything just fall apart?
That's a really important point. And a good rapid strategy has to anticipate that. It's not just about word lists, it's about context. So an effective approach doesn't just give you, say, the verb make and the noun mistake. It teaches you the whole chunk. I made a mistake as one unit.
So learning phrases, not just single words.
Exactly. Chunking. Because your brain processes those common phrases like how are you or nice to meet you as single items. It drastically cuts down the mental effort needed to actually say something. It makes production faster. So focusing on these chunks, these common expressions, helps build a practical foundation. It might not be academically perfect, but it works. It addresses that fragility concern.
Okay, I see. Moving from translating word by word, which is slow, to using these ready-made chunks, that feels much more efficient. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. We've talked about the input, the high utility words and chunks, but the question specifically asked how to speak. It's about production, right? Active use. Knowing stuff passively, like reading or listening, is great, but it doesn't help if you clam up when it's your turn to talk.
Absolutely. That's the other side of the coin. The strategies must push you towards output, towards actually using the language.
So practice, obviously, but what kind?
Well, it suggests high-intensity practice. Maybe even stuff that feels a bit more physical. Like building muscle memory for your mouth, not just your brain.
Muscle memory for speaking?
Sort of, yeah. Think about techniques designed to bypass that internal translation step. One strategy that fits perfectly here, one that any rapid course should probably include, is called shadowing.
Shadowing, explain that.
Okay, so shadowing is where you listen to a native speaker, maybe a short dialogue using those common chunks we talked about, and you repeat what they're saying almost simultaneously, like an echo. You're not focused on understanding every nuance at first. You're matching their rhythm, their intonation, the melody of the language.
Okay, so you're mimicking the sounds and flow directly.
Exactly. It forces your mouth and ears to work together without getting bogged down in constructing sentences from scratch. It helps build that physical fluency.
That's a great example. Shadowing treats it like a skill, like learning an instrument, maybe, not just studying a textbook.
Precisely. It cuts out some of that slow internal processing.
Okay, so we're focusing on output with techniques like shadowing. But speaking fast also means recalling fast, doesn't it? How do these strategies make sure those chunks and words are actually there, like instantly, when you need them in a real, maybe stressful conversation?
Right, you can't just learn it once. For rapid results, you need a system for making it stick. Structured repetition, not just random review.
Right.
This points directly towards using something like spaced repetition systems, SRS.
SRS, right. Those flashcard apps, but smarter.
Much smarter, yeah. They're not just digital flashcards, they use algorithms. They calculate the optimal time to show you a word or phrase again right before you're likely to forget it.
So it maximizes your review time.
Exactly. You're only spending time on the things you're actually at risk of forgetting. It dramatically increases how much you retain for the time spent. And if your overall time is short, that efficiency is absolutely critical. You can't afford wasted effort.
Okay, so putting it all together, the blueprint implied by that title in question seems to demand, three core things. First, the content has to be super practical, high-frequency words and chunks.
Right. Utility first.
Second, the practice needs to be active, output-focused, like shadowing or other drills.
Backup.
And third, the retention needs a system. Something efficient like SRS.
Making it stick.
And these three need to work together, right? It's the synergy that delivers the speed. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to learn fast?
Well, it means you've got a pretty clear checklist now. If you're looking at a program or a method that claims rapid results, check for these three things. Does it filter for high utility language? Does it force you to speak and practice actively? Does it have a smart system for review, like SRS? If it's missing one or more of those, you might want to question if it can really deliver on that promise of speed. It might be leading you down a less efficient path.
And that brings us to one final thought, a really crucial one, actually. It loops back to the very beginning. The success of this whole rapid acquisition idea, it really hinges on how you define success. What does speaking English mean to you in this context?
Setting the right goal.
Exactly. This raises an important question for you. What's the target? Are you aiming for near native fluency? Understanding jokes, cultural nuances, complex arguments, perfect grammar.
Which sounds great, but probably not realistic in a short time. Probably not, no. Aiming for that level of deep fluency very quickly, well, it often leads to frustration and burnout. It might be setting yourself up to fail.
Oh, what's the alternative?
The alternative is to aim for functional conversational competence.
Meaning,
being understood, being able to handle, say, 90% of your daily interactions, expressing your needs, your ideas clearly enough, maybe not perfectly, but effectively.
Getting the job done communicatively.
Precisely. If that's your goal, functional competence, then the strategies we've talked about, the high frequency words, the chunking, the shadowing, the SRS, they become entirely achievable within a genuinely short time frame. So the key to making rapid English acquisition work isn't just the methods, it's deciding right at the start what level of speaking is good enough for your immediate needs. Limiting the scope, defining that functional boundary, that's the first and maybe the most